I sometimes read public domain books here on Leaves of Glen, and they were written a long time ago, so they're usually racist or sexist or bigoted. But in there somewhere and all that is a story, and that's why those stories are famous. Other times, I read works from independent authors, and they're delightfully not racist, but they might have adult language or adult situations. So that's your warning, but I'm sure you are grown up enough to handle it. Don't write to me complaining.
Well, I'm just going to sit down and continue trying to read my friend's blog, where he writes delightful stories. Oh, son of a... How come you keep coming back here? Especially now, during the month of Halloween? Welcome to the abandoned drawing room of Glenn Reads Books to You Mansion. It's a fun little bit where I tend to live in a mansion and not just recording in my basement as I read the hottest public domain books and short stories. This week, we're going to continue reading The Little Oregon Book of Horrors by my friend who calls himself Baki. He tried to... tell me how to pronounce his fake name, and I refuse to acknowledge it. Want to learn a little bit about the author? I hope so. I took the time to steal this from his website. He calls himself Baki. I'm not going to tell you his real name. And he was born, no idea. I'm going to guess February of 1972. And he died. He will never die. He says in his website, I was born in the previous millennium. I am over half a century years old. I live in Oregon. I am mildly alarmed to be living in a place named the Ring of Fire, a place known for earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, sneaker waves, tornadoes, landslides, wildfires, and an unfortunate amount of bird droppings. There are also large trees. I believe love is usually the answer, and have a wife and had a cat who shows and showed me this daily. I believe people should know how very special they are, and I am a bit of an absurdist. I work in the book mines, which is a library. You want to hear some fun facts, which I say is from hell because it's our Halloween episodes, that I got from knowing him personally back in the year 1999. His wife is from St. Paul. So after I did the last episode, or I read some of his stories, he sent me a bunch of voicemails over WhatsApp telling me, I fucked it all up. You mispronounced this. But also his wife is apparently from St. Paul, which is unfortunate. And so she asked a bunch of questions because she wants to talk to somebody from Minnesota again since they live in Oregon. And she's like, do you say duck, duck, gray duck or duck, duck, goose? And I was like, idiot. It's clearly gray duck because the whole point of it is you're trying to suss out the one interloper, the one person that's not supposed to be there. Obviously, he's going to look roughly the same as everyone else, which is why it's a duck, duck, and a gray duck, because maybe you pass over him. But if you study real carefully, it's a gray duck. If it's a duck, duck, goose, it's like saying in a crowd of people find the elephant. It's not a fun game. It's like it's right there. That really tall, big thing over there, it's it right there. That's the game. That's not a fun game. So it's duck, duck, gray duck versus duck, duck, goose. It's stupid. Pop versus soda. I had to explain that it's always been pop, but there's a new generation of young, unapologetic, brazen children that call it soda now. So we're kind of getting fancy, kind of getting East Coast, where we call it everything soda. Used to be called pop. When I was a kid, pop. Even as a 20-year-old, I'd like a can of pop, please. It is kind of embarrassing when you think about it because it's like a little children's word to say. But nope, now we all call it soda for the most part. Some people call it pop, but they're boomers. Rubber binder or rubber band? Obviously, a rubber band because it's a band of rubber. A rubber binder is some kind of S&M thing, which I personally am thoroughly against. I don't want to sexualize my rubber band, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So no, it's always rubber band. Rubber binder is a stupid thing to say. And then this one really caught me off guard, because I've heard all the rest of these, but the one that caught me off guard the most is sledding or sliding. Clearly, when you're going to go to Target and you're going to buy a sled that looks kind of like a shallow bathtub that you can put you and a friend in, or just you by yourself luxuriously laid out in one big long sled. You call it sledding. I'm going to go sledding. It's like if you buy a bicycle, you got a bike, and you're going to say like, oh, I'm going to go double wheeling You're going to say I'm going to go biking because I bought a bike. I'm going to get on my bike. I'm going to go biking. So if you're going to go sledding, you're going to go sledding because you bought a sled. You're going to go sledding. Sliding just sounds like something poor kids did, just sliding around on their backs, just all going down the hill uncontrolled. No sled because they couldn't afford one. Okay, well, with that, the clock's telling me to shut up. Let's go read some more stories. Well, there you go. Why don't you get yourself seated? Yeah, go ahead. Sit right there with amongst all my sweaty pumpkins. It's been 3 weeks. These pumpkins are wet and melting in on themselves, and it's fine. It's all a part of the Halloween experience. Actually, recently, I made the cookies that my mom used to make, pumpkin cookies with chocolate chips in them. I forgot how wet they get when you stick them in a Tupperware, but that's beyond the point. Why don't we dive into our next story? It's Oregon. I had to write this down so I don't say Oregon. Oregon. It's Oregon. He gave me a whole voicemail on this thing. Okay, the story's called It's Oregon. Ah, damn it. Be cool, man, said Julius, looking around with more than a little trepidation. Oregon, shouted Floyd, cackling. A couple of the folks walking on the West Burnside glanced their way. He turned to Julius. Look, dude, I know. You told me it's Oregon. Accent on the first syllable. It's not that I don't get it, I just don't care. That's me. Floyd had met Julius playing Fortnite online. They got to talking, and when he found out Julius lived in Portland, he invited himself to crash at Julius's apartment for a couple of weeks. I'm between jobs, Floyd had said. He cleaned out his parents' fridge into his '98 Civic and headed north out of Reno. He'd been in Portland for 3 days. Now, it'd been a long 3 days for Julius. Something bad Something bad will happen, said Floyd, mimicking Julius while wagging his fingers in front of his face. What does that even mean, dude? Sheesh. It's not like we're walking in the forest, primeval, and Bigfoot is going to grab me and rip me apart with his bare hands for saying Oregon wrong. We're walking around Portland, dude. Powell is right there, Floyd said, pointing. There's nothing to worry about. Relax, dude. Now, we got to get you out of here, said Julius. He grabbed Floyd by the arm and hustled him along. Maybe they won't mind so much in Whole Foods. Oregon, yelled Floyd, trailing behind Julius. Oregon. People on the street stopped walking, their heads swiveling in unison to track the two men scurrying down the sidewalk. Traffic slowed to a crawl. Maybe we'll make shit. I forgot. There's a McMerman's over here. As he said, Julius. They stopped 30 feet from the crowd, pouring out of the restaurant. Staff and customers lined the sidewalk shoulder to shoulder, 4 rows deep in front of them. Adult consumers held forks and butter knives. Kids held plastic sporks menacingly. Staff held pots, pans, and butcher knives, their mouths set. Oh, God, I wish it would have been wet. Their eyes determined. Oregon, Floyd screeched at them, laughing. Julius dragged Floyd across the street. Traffic had stopped. They dodged around people, getting out of their vehicles, holding tire irons and crowbars. And they made it across and turned the corner to Northwest 13th, where they were greeted by dozens of Whole Foods employees and customers walking around holding price scanners and enormous wheels of gourmet cheeses. One of the employees lugged their POS register. Crap, they do care, said Julius. He peeked back around the corner that they had just turned and saw Powell's staff and customers jogging toward them, carrying Russian literature and omnibus editions of Michener books. A group of bicyclists skidded to a halt next to them. I tried, Julius sighed. He turned to Floyd and punched him in the face. Floyd hit the ground and then looked up at Julius and the mob of Oregonity around them while rubbing his jaw. Hey, what the fuck, dudes? It's just a state name. What's the big deal? Oregon. With each Oregon, the swarm of Oregonians flinched harder. Some fainted. Others gripped their wheels of cheese more tightly as a shield against the barrage of profanity. Julius took a step toward Floyd and pulled something out of his back pocket. Floyd flinched. You have one last chance, Julius said, unfolding a piece of paper. How do you pronounce this word? The piece of paper read, Willamette. I was actually coached on how to say this ahead of time. It looks like it's saying Willamette, but I was told it's like damn it, Willamette, whatever. I don't know. Why am I trying so hard? Floyd looked at the throng of furious faces around him. What's wrong with you people? Read the word, Floyd, demanded Julius. Floyd looked from the legion of Oregonians to the piece of paper. Shit, I don't know, dude. Willamette? They descended upon him with their butter knives, Gouda cheeses, and Russian literature as they chanted, rhymes with damn it, rhymes with damn it, rhymes with damn it. When they finished, Julius looked down at the very little that was left of Floyd and said, saying Oregon incorrectly is something bad that happens. Their work concluded. The Oregonians, I'm still saying it wrong. I don't even care. Why am I trying so hard? Began chatting pleasantly amongst themselves. Guitar music floated over the crowd. Yeah. The wheels of cheese were passed around, and an impromptu Russian authors book club broke out. Oh, the young woman who brought the register bent down to grab it and noticed some blood and brain matter on the display and carefully wiped it off. A cab stopped nearby, and a chubby middle-aged couple wearing the matching Green Bay Packers sweatshirts with Cheesehead Nation printed on them got out. They wore the diminutive smiles of the currently perplexed as they looked from their official Portland, Oregon city guide to the buildings around them. They glanced at each other, shrugged, then approached the group. Excuse me, said the woman, trying to get their attention. Hello. The cab driver said you might be able to tell us how to get to the... ... She looked down again at the guide. ... The Deschutes Brewery? Portland Public House? As one, the Oregon hosts snapped their heads in their direction. The guitars stopped mid-riff. The wheels of cheese were once again held at the ready. Tolstoy, Akamovida, and Chekhov were hefted ominously. The young woman kneeling by her register picked it up and lumbered toward the couple, making sure to stop within arm's reach. She gave her best customer service smile and asked, "What was the name of the brewery you're looking for?" Well, that's the end of that story, and that was like a minefield for me to try and navigate and say things correctly, but I don't even care anymore. I'm from Minneapolis, and I don't have to learn how to say Oregon. So with that, why don't we go down to my basement where I can be smug about where I live, and we can talk about the latest upcoming book from Penguin Random House. Oh, good, you made it. Why don't you take a seat there in that one folding chair underneath that naked light bulb while I stand here, not playing guitar or anything, underneath this naked light bulb here in my basement, which is not creepy. I put a cool couch in it, cool end tables, a little coffee table, little rug, little TV with Google television hooked up. This is a cool place for people to hang out and just relax and be cool. As I let you know about the latest upcoming book from Penguin Random House, The Conspiracy Against the Human Race, which has been out for kind of a long time. I guess they're republishing. I don't know. A Contrivance of Horror by Thomas Ligotti. Want to learn a little about the book? Yeah, sure you do. About the conspiracy against the human race. In Thomas Ligotti's first nonfiction outing, an examination of the meaning or meaninglessness of life through its insightful, unsparing argument that proves the greatest horrors are not the products of our imagination, but instead are found in reality. There is a signature motif discernible in both works of philosophical pessimism and supernatural horror. It may be stated thus: behind the scenes of life lurks something pernicious that makes a nightmare of our world. His fiction is known to some of the most terrifying in the genre of supernatural horror, but Thomas Ligotti's first nonfiction book may be even scarier. Drawing on philosophy, literature, neuroscience, and other fields of study, Ligotti takes the penetrating lens of his imagination and turns it to his audience, causing them to grapple with the brutal reality that they're living in a meaningless nightmare, and anyone who feels otherwise is simply acting out an optimistic fallacy. At once a guidebook to pessimistic thought and relentless critique of humanity's employment of self-deception to cope with the persuasive suffering of their existence, The Conspiracy Against the Human Race may just convince readers that there is more to a measure of truth in the despairing yet unexcitingly liberating negativity that is widely considered a hallmark of Ligotti's work. That's The Conspiracy Against the Human Race by Thomas Gotti. Apparently it's coming out in paperback again, October 2nd, 2018. Why was this in the list of new books if it was coming out in 2018? Well, there's a glitch in the Penguin Random House website. You get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Bookshop.org, Hudson Booksellers, Powell's, Target, and I read this book probably in 2018, and it got me real down. This is like not right after a divorce, a while after a divorce and a breakup and some other stuff. And boy, life wasn't looking great. I read this book thinking, oh, that seems kind of weird. I'll read that. Seems kind of dark and whatever. Not realizing, this guy is literally just telling you at the end of the book, the only option, the world is so horrible, everything that we care about is made up, nothing's really real like we think it's real, and you might as well just kill yourself. At the end of the book, he's telling you that philosophers say you should just kill yourself, it's the only way to get out. And I read that, and I finished it, and I said, holy shit, I feel like crap. And it took like 6 months to get rid of that feeling at Walmart. Well, with that, why don't we go back upstairs and read another one of my friend's stories. Oh, good. You back up from the basement? I noticed you hung out for a while on my couch, just enjoying the cool, teen-like atmosphere of my basement. But you're up here now with the sweaty pumpkins. So take a seat while I read to you the next story, Rocky Marriage. It's not like I wanted to kill him. It was, unfortunately, the best solution to the problem of, him. It's not like I killed him. His ego did that. Men and their egos. It's not a married woman alive who doesn't know how to manipulate their husband's ego when they would need to. We get burned by it often enough, and if we didn't learn how to use it for good once in a while, well, I went to stress here at the beginning. It wasn't always bad between us. We were high school sweethearts, went to prom together, graduated high school together, got married, moved to a little efficiency in the city. We were two suburban kids who didn't know a damn thing except that we had each other and we were going to make it work together. I was his, he was mine. I worked, he went to school, he graduated, got a job. We spent another decade in the city, then started talking about kids. They got a house in the burbs. I caught pregnant, quit my job, twins right out of the gate. It was our little slice of the American dream. How's that Carlin line go? It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep, to believe it? You know, I still have the first gift he ever gave me. It was, sorry, I can't help but smile, and even after all this time, it was so corny. He gave me the letter T, on a necklace. It was our 1-month anniversary, and I thought he'd give me a cross. And then I told him, and he laughed and laughed, and he said he'd be my cross to bear, and I'd be the one to crucify him if he failed me. I asked him what it really meant, and he said, my name was Mary, and his was Marty, and now I just have the T, just like him. And that T meant that we'd be together forever. Pure schlock, Total cheese, but sweet, right? Not all bad. When the kids started middle school, it was like a switch inside him flip. He bought a Porsche. Automatic. Started going to the gym, which, by the way, lasted all a week and a half. He started screwing anything under the age of 25. Late at night in the office. Long work trips. I tried talking about him with it, about everything, and he didn't even deny it. He said he was glad I knew. Made things easier. He said men had needs, and I didn't understand, and then hopped in his Porsche and went on another, quote, business trip. I tried to get him to go couples counseling with me, but he just laughed and told me he was finally seeing things clearly for the first time in his life. I think that's the first time I thought about killing him. We spent years together, created a life with each other, had kids, family. We went from being us to being nothing. You know, my husband never learned to swim, so for a few years, I went on autopilot. Took care of the kids, the house, scheduled appointments, chaperoned field trips, helped with my homework, but the light had gone out of it. I loved my kids, mind you, but my guy, my partner, he checked out. Hey, Still did things like go to his company parties, of course, keep up appearances, marry. I'd stand behind him and off to his side, nursing my single free glass of Franzia Sunset Blush while surrounding himself with female new hires and interns. Being cruel to me while I was pregnant was a way for him to display his alpha male credentials to the new crop of targets. Occasionally, I'd catch a sideline glance from one of his young women, scorn, contempt, superiority, discomfort, sympathy. I took to raising my glass to them when they did it. I had the lowest low of my life in my kid's dentist waiting room. Oh, this is where it hit me. High school was coming. The kids were going to be out of the house in a couple of years, and I would be, what exactly? The kids would be on their own, and my partner in crime had fled the scene without me. I panicked for the first time since he told me that he was glad I knew. What was I going to do? Divorce my husband? Go to school? Get a job? Move back into that efficiency apartment in the city? It's too much. There I sat in the dental office waiting room. I bowed my head so people wouldn't see the tears forming. My eyes fell on a 7-month-old National Geographic Traveler magazine. One of the cover stories was 10 must-see coastal wonders. I flipped through to the article. Some highlights. 1 cubic meter of seawater weighs 1 ton. Depoe Bay, Oregon, has one of the highest concentrations of basalt rock. A very hard, very sharp type of volcanic rock on the ocean coast. In winter, enormous waves from the Pacific Ocean come crashing into Depoe Bay. Oh, there's a fissure called Spouting Horn formed in the rock where these huge waves are funneled into smaller and smaller spaces until they shoot dozens of feet in the air. Oh! I sat in that waiting room, stared at the wall blankly, processed. Do you know what a cubic meter of water weighs a ton? I didn't. That's around 2,000 pounds of water in a box, just over 3 feet wide and 3 feet high by 3 feet deep. Oh, 2 of those boxes of water weigh more than a Toyota RAV4 or a BMW 5 Series. An ocean's worth of water on one side and a coast of basalt rock on the other. Yeah, that'd do some damage. We had a winner, folks. Winner. Chicken dinner. We'd take a Christmas family trip to Oregon coast. I said Oregon with a hard O. Screw off. With its freezing cold waters, deadly sharp rocks, powerful waves, and a husband who couldn't swim. What a strange sensation it is to bullet point the information that led to the plan for your husband's death. Oh, I couldn't convince my husband to take us on the trip, but our kids could, and I could convince them. Oh, the boys were turning into young men. And Marty wanted to impress them. He was long past trying to impress me. We went to Depoe Bay. It was everything I could have hoped for. Waves slammed the coast. Seawater sprayed across the highway. The Coast Guard station flew a single red square flag with a black square inside it. Meaning? ? Storm warning. Winds 55 to 73 miles per hour. The conditions were supposed to hold for the next 48 hours. We gave the boys $50 and told them to check out the shops across the street. I told Marty that we had to get the boys a cool picture for Facebook of their father on the coastal rocks by the waves. Oh, he loved the idea, and he said he was just about to suggest the same thing. So he also said we should make it quick because we had a last-minute work meeting to set up down in Newport that might go pretty late. When he said that, he didn't smile, didn't smirk, didn't gloat, didn't even look at me. Just business as usual. I wasn't even sure why he was telling me until he said I should tell the boys their dad is going to have to do some business while we were out there. He wanted me to make excuses for him, of course. We threw on the warmest, most waterproof gear as we headed out. He walked to the Spouting Horn, and I pulled out my phone. He looked at the massive waves coming in and balked. He was about to say something, chicken out. I urged him on with a shooting gesture. Oh, come on, you big baby, I said. The boys will love it. Oh, that pissed him off. He stepped over the little 2-foot guardrail and slowly made his way down the basalt rock. Everything was wet. Basalt is very slippery when it's wet. And when he climbed down to where waves had just been a moment ago, and other tourists out to see the wave action noticed him, walked over, watched, and hesitated. Turned back. saw the crowd that had formed, turned around, went further, stood up straight, and the wind whipped his soaked through his clothes. Oh, he gave the crowd a jaunty little salute, and for some reason, did that Captain Morgan pose, you know, the one where you put your hand on your hips and raise your leg like you're standing on a treasure chest. Ego. The crowd cheered. Oh, he raised his arms above his head in victory, and I got a picture. A wave taller than he was hit him from behind. He was thrown onto another section of basalt. The wave followed him, washed over him, dragged him into the ocean. Some people screamed. Others started over the guard wall to help. Others held them back. I hadn't moved, hadn't made a sound. Had it actually happened? Oh, I held my phone in front of me like a talisman to ward off the people looking my way. The people recording me, I waited to see if he was actually gone. Another set of waves came. The spouting horn blew. It blew red. I snorted. It blew red a second time. People covered in bloody spouting horn spray screamed. I laughed. Hysterical laughter. Couldn't stop. I blew red a third time. Some people ran away. Others tried to console me. Oh, it'll be okay. Don't look. You're okay. You'll be fine. We'll pray for you. Patted my shoulder, my back, and I couldn't stand any longer so I sat down on the cold, wet sidewalk, put my head down. My stomach hurt from laughing so hard. Tears and rainwater streamed down my face. Everything was drenched, and I started shaking. He never came back to the surface. I actually thought he'd pop back up, tread water, make his way back to the rocks. Didn't happen. Of course not. Authorities told me he was probably knocked unconscious after the wave threw him against the rocks, cut him up badly. The surf pulled him into the water. His heavy clothes pulled him under. The next waves lodged him tightly underwater by the entrance of the spouting horn and cut him up a lot more. All the boys took it as well as possible. Marty hadn't even been around much for them, so his absence didn't leave that big of a hole. There were 24 different videos posted on social media by people who had been there. No, they watched the videos, went to therapy for a year, and then got their driver's licenses. Played soccer, dated, went to prom, graduated. Then they went to college a week ago. Got them moved in, settled. Part of Marty's life insurance was paying for it. I traded in Marty's Porsche for my own stick, and I'm driving 2,000 miles to Depo Bay, Oregon, where I'll get there and I'll drop the T necklace into the spouting horn and then turn around, go home, start fresh. I miss being his girl. I miss him being my guy, my partner. But I'd lost him long ago before he died. I'm still learning to be alone. Marty was only joking all those decades ago. Turns out he was a joke on the both of us. He was my cross to bear, and I crucified him for failing me. Well, looks like we got some stuff to digest, so why don't we go down to the smoking room and talk about what we just read. Oh, good. Yeah, you made it. I just opened up a White Claw, a podcaster's drink of choice, where the tab just kind of went in and didn't actually open the can at all. So I had to stick my dirty finger in there and try to push the thing open. And then when I took a swig, the stupid this is one of my wife's birds. One of the tab thing actually pulled a mustache hair out of my face, which hurt a lot, and it's still sitting there. So I had to pull it. I don't know what the hell's happening. I'm drinking a cursed can of White Claw. Oh, it's black cherry. Well, anyways, welcome to the smoky room. Have a seat. You see there on the coffee table, I've got a baboon skull, and if you take the top part of its cranium off, it's filled with cigarettes. Go ahead, help yourself to one while I sit here and also smoke a cigarette. What have we learned? Well, first of all, to continue from my little opening part, I learned that the author still has long hair. He doesn't wear the silvery tracksuits that he used to wear in the 2000s, but he still has long, gorgeous hair, which he says he might shave off and go bald, which, as a 50-year-old man going fully bald, I don't know if that's a good idea. Also, he stood by that Minneapolitan is a real term that people use. He's spent all week sending me Wikipedia articles and other articles from dictionaries and stuff. And so, okay, fine, I get it. The term exists. We don't use it here. Just like we don't care so much about how you pronounce Oregon, because if you can't, Minneapolis, done. Minnesota, done. You could read it and you can pronounce it. It's not like going to Louisville, Kentucky, where it's not called that, it's called Lowville. Well, then spell it Lowville. So Oregon, same problem. Out here in Minnesota, we don't make up weird words like Minneapolitan. I'm sure someone from Iowa came up with that term. And then it's like, I know, it's real. And they went to college and told the professor, come on, I could submit this to the dictionary. And then they're like, okay, I'll do it because that seems cruel. And so we don't do that here. But he obsessed over if they should call themselves Oregonians or Oregonites. It doesn't matter. You don't have to. I'm trying to free people from Oregon. You don't have to refer to yourself in weird made-up words. Just say, I'm from Oregon. That's it. I'm from Minneapolis. I'm from Minnesota. It's that simple. You don't have to make up a weird term. What do we learn in this story? The first story. Don't mispronounce anything in Oregon, apparently. If you do, they're going to kill you. They care way too much about how they change around how to pronounce this name of their state and also the name of their cities and their brew pubs and whatever. Don't go there. It sounds like it's a bad idea. But everyone, like a zombie movie, all it takes is a single mispronunciation of a word and they all come crawling and clawing at you. So that's pretty good. I like that. And this last story, it's again a story that I read in a funny voice, which feels unfortunate, but a story of like a cruel husband. Being 50, I have gone through a divorce. Apparently tonight's divorce night. And then other people I know have gone through divorces. And people kind of lose their mind when their relationship, their marriage is starting to fall apart. I've never met anyone that's like openly cheating on their wife and like telling them that. But it seems like it could be plausible because by the time people are unhappy in a relationship, they lose their goddamn minds. So here's a scenario that's like kind of plausible, like a weird dominant person just treating their spouse like crap. Then she plants this murder and then kind of has a good life afterwards, which I read in a kooky voice. A little disturbing. So what do we learn? If a state or a city pronounces their name in a weird way that you can't get from just looking at it printed on paper, don't go there. Don't feed their arrogance and also their murderous rage. And if you're gonna cheat on your spouse, I guess the morals just don't tell them about it. If you don't tell them about it, you try to hide it, then they won't try to kill you. They'll probably try to kill you no matter what. They'll find out eventually. I don't know. I guess the moral of that story is you can commit the perfect crime. Well, with that, thanks for listening. I think next week I'm going to read some classic Halloween thing before Halloween so I can say I've done it. And I got to go back to reading the weird space sexual assault book, which I'm not looking forward to. But what am I going to read next week? I don't know. Am I going to fall into the trap of trying to read The Raven? Every pretentious jackhole does that. I'm not doing that. I got to find something else to read for Halloween. I'll figure it out. Whatever, it's my show. With that, thanks for listening, and I will see you next week.
Well, it appears you found me in the part of the podcast I hate the most, where I tell you all about the places on the internet where you can find me. You can tell I hate this because of the sound effects making it sound like a stormy night in the drawing room of the damned. Now, there's that. Are you cool? I like cool people. It's the reason why I got involved in this business to begin with, just to meet cool people, not losers. So if you're cool, feel free to go over to my website, nuzzlehouse.com. But if you go there, you get to hear some of the other stuff that I and my wife work on, like the Radio Mystery Theater show, where we try to recreate the same show that used to be on in the 70s, but they don't make any episodes anymore. So we make our own, and we just steal all their commercials. And also, Just Day and the Curious Mind, we made a Christmas album. If you go to our link tree, you can see that we made a Christmas album. It's the first thing we did after getting married, which I think everyone should do when they get married, is start talking about the Christmas album they're going to make. And we're working on a new show where we give relationship advice by reading paranormal smut. And since I think you might be cool, you can always just email me directly. glenn.nuzzles@gmail.com. But don't email if you're a nerdlinger or a dork. Now, back to business. I can't believe I drank all of them already. There's got to be one left.